And welcome into Beyond the Arc with Coach Gebbia, Dan Laing, Coach Gebbia, and it's the holiday edition,
Sure
the festive
is.
holiday edition.
Yeah.
Clearly, we didn't spare any expense.
Absolutely not.
Are you ready for the holidays?
I am that person that is the last minute shopper, so absolutely not. But I'm excited for it. We have a little bit extended break, which is a little longer than we usually give the team. So it'll be a nice downtime, I think, for everybody.
Well, maybe what you could do is wait until the after Christmas sales,
I
and then you
sometimes do that, Dan.
you could let it stretch your money a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. It's just how it is, you know.
Yeah.
Basketball coaches are busy all the time.
You were busy at Radford, picked up a W, first road win
Yes.
of the season. How much do you get into the fact that it's the first road win of the year? Something we talk about in the media, but
For
is it
sure.
something that you care about, or is it just another win?
No, I do think we care about it. I think with this type of team that we have this year, that, you know, trying to figure themselves out, that road wins are huge for us because they're building blocks. And it's harder to win on the road just because, you know, you're against, the crowd's against you. Sometimes you feel like the officials are against you. And you're just not shooting the ball as well on the road, typically. So you have to kind of grind it out a little bit more. You got to get to the free throw line. You got to make plays when you need to make plays. The timing of things, the way they happen, are really important. And we were able to do that against Radford, who's a really good team, and I'm just proud of the kids that they were able to pull that off.
And a good confidence boost as well.
For sure,
helps you
yeah,
guys
definitely.
in that realm.
Yep.
Katie Maroney, Jade Edwards, both had big games,
Yeah.
scored in double digits.
Yeah.
And so that had to, well, obviously it was a boost. It helped you get the win.
Yes.
But it was good to see both of them come through at the same time.
We need that. I think this team needs that in particular. And it's not always points, but just contributions, whether that's rebounds, assists, or whatever. We need that from those two. And they brought it that game. I don't think it was a perfect game by either player, but they found different ways to score when we needed. I think Katie went on her own little run there at one point when we needed it, when we were down 6 or 7. She did that. And then Jade hit some big shots at the end when we needed her to hit some shots. She got a really big and one. So yeah, it's like I was saying earlier, the timing of when we were scoring with those two was critical in that game.
Mm-hmm. And that's something that, you know, you're going to hope that continues.
Yeah,
both of them.
I really do. Yeah.
Both of them getting it going at the same time.
For sure. And I think, I mean, even Taylor Brown, if you look at her having her career high with 11 points, I know that doesn't sound like a ton, but her baskets were big. She got an offensive rebound put back when we needed it. And we only had 4 offensive rebounds that game, but that one that she got was huge. So, you know, you look at that and you say, we are capable of the timing thing and scoring when we need to, and from different people, which is always a good thing.
And what does that mean for you? I know that's something you've preached about, the offensive rebounding and the balance. You know, and what does that mean when you see Taylor able to do that, convert that into a game?
Tells me she's got confidence, right? She's in there. She was in there for an extended period of time, and she needed to find different ways to score, and it wasn't just doing the same thing. I think she hit a 3. She made a couple post moves. She got the offensive rebound put back, so it was nice to see her score in different ways. For us, the offensive rebounds still aren't where they want to be, but the scoring bounce, I think we had 4 in double digits, which is huge for us. And without having Emily Fisher there, who's I think our 3rd leading scorer right now, you needed somebody to make up those points, and Taylor Brown was one person that did that.
Laura Graytalk is another player that had a good game, especially from what you saw from a coaching perspective.
Yes.
Did a lot of the things that some of them showed up in the box score, and some maybe not so much
they
in the box score.
Yeah,
you know?
but Laura, she's the grit to the team, and she's quick to the ball, and she gets rebounds, and she got a steal, and she got an assist, and it just seemed like when she was in the game, it was flowing well. Right? You just try to find that 5th person sometimes. It's not every game it's like that, but that game in particular, you needed that 5th person that could have the chemistry with the other 4 people, and that game it was Laura. And I was really happy to see that she was able to do what we needed her to do.
And that's got to make it good for you that you're able to have more pieces that you can interchange,
that we can go to.
in and out. Yeah,
because you don't know what's going to happen through the course of the year. So many things that with injuries or illnesses or whatever, and we've had that happen in the past, and you need people to step in, whether they've had a lot of playing time or not, and be able to fill voids. And she definitely did that this game, and you don't know what's going to happen from game to game, but you know, I think it gave her confidence. So if that gives her confidence, then great. Hopefully she can build on it, and it works its way throughout the conference season.
Let's talk about the Minnesota game. You know, brought a Big Ten team here into Bender Arena and played tight with them for most of the game. Played really close with them. Unfortunately, came up on the wrong end of it at the end. But played for a large portion of the game with them and had a lead for a portion as well.
I would say that that's the longest we've played really well all season, because we've been having these bouts of good minutes here and there, but not long stretches of time. And I felt like we were in the game for 36 minutes, and we just kind of, that was it. That's all we could do that day. I think they went on a 15-0 run at the end, and we couldn't score. And we had people taking good shots. They just didn't fall. And you know, it's deflating when you can't hit shots, and now you have to go play defense against a Big Ten team, right? You need that energy to be able to stay with it, and it just kind of crumbled at the end. But it was also another lesson for this team to learn, and they know now. You can't play for 36, it's 40, or you don't win. So it's a good lesson.
And is that something that, where do you look to the fact that the team played for the 36 instead of the 40? What do I say? What was the reason behind it? I don't know. I think it was the defensive end, because that was the thing we had been focusing on that whole week, is just being able, like, you have to know who their scorers are, which is all of them, really. But you need to take away certain things from them, and they did that for most of the game. And a couple of their players, we were playing tendencies and things like that, who we played off a couple kids and they hit a couple shots, and it's like you have to give up something. And unfortunately for us, they hit the shots that we were asking them to take. And that happens. But you know, the times where you beat the Penn States, they don't hit those shots, and you're like, the game plan worked, right? But you can't take everything away against teams like that. So, you know, tip your cap to Minnesota. They did what they needed to do to win the game. But I'm still proud of the team and how they played, and I think it just gave them more confidence going into the next game. Now, Minnesota has a common opponent because they played GW, who is your next opponent coming up on Sunday. Talk about what you saw in that game and, frankly, what you're seeing from GW right now. Yeah, I mean, GW is a good team. They're solid all the way through. They have inside presence. They have a point guard that's a redshirt freshman who we recruited and offered. So I'm very familiar with her. She's a scorer. But, you know, just watching them play Minnesota, they struggled. I don't know why that happened, but it just made our team feel a little bit better about themselves, that, hey, you were able to play them for as long as you could, and GW really didn't. And so, but that, I hope that they don't overthink that too much, because every opponent's different. You know, it's nice that GW is coming into our house and we don't have to go there. I think that will help us in this game a little bit, but we scrimmage each other in the summertime, right, when we're here for summer school. And I asked our kids this in the summer, how'd you guys do when you went over to GW? And they're like, well, they pounded us on the boards. And I'm like, I hope they remember that going into this game. And we're going to talk a lot about the rebounding aspect headed into GW. But, you know, it's not one of those games that you're like, oh, you know, this is a win. I mean, this is going to be a real competitive game, and you always love the crosstown rival with them. And Jen's a great coach, and she gets her teams ready. So, you know, they play James Madison on Friday. So I told our team, you know, if you have time, you're not Christmas shopping, go sit there and watch them play live, so you have an idea of what we're talking about when we go over the scout. And this is then moving into the Patriot League slate. And that's fast approaching. What is January 2nd, I think, is the first game against Colgate. Sure. How do you see the league shaping up? I mean, I know, you know, non-conference, you're not necessarily overseeing a lot of the conference teams and what they're doing. Sure. But I'm sure you've peeked a little bit here and there. What do you think about what you've seen? Well, it'll be interesting because Lehigh actually plays Minnesota coming up here soon. So that'll be interesting to see how they do against them. But the conference is doing great. Honestly, they're winning games. It's really fun to see, because I think our conference, our RPI is better than it's been, because our conference is winning games out of league. So that's a good thing. I think it's going to be really challenging. I think there's a lot of teams that have winning records right now that maybe haven't in the past. Colgate's a good example. I think they're 7-2 right now, and that's our first league opponent. Like, great. Right. But you want to kind of ease into it, but you can't. And so league's different because everybody knows everybody better. So we'll see them. Conference team take things away that maybe non-conference teams don't, because they know your team better. So it's going to be challenging in that aspect. But I think for our players in particular, because the non-conference has been so difficult, that I think it's like a breath of fresh air. Like, this is our level now. And any game's winnable. It's just how you show up and how you prepare yourself. Now, with Christmas fast approaching, let's jump into a couple of your favorites. We got to know more about you. Favorite Christmas song? Does anything stick out, like Marshmallow World from Dean Martin? I don't know what that is, Dan. Dean Martin, Marshmallow World. I don't know. Elmo and Patsy, Grandma got run over by a reindeer. Oh, I do love that one. Okay. That's a good one. Obviously, Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas Is You is probably my favorite. I think, you know, I've got pulled over driving singing to that song before, so love it. Love that song. Yeah. Movie. anything in particular that you
honestly,
go to?
I don't know
is
that
there
I do.
like White Christmas with Bing Crosby, our producer, and your sports information director, Sam Rinka? That's her favorite.
Is it?
Yeah,
I didn't know
yeah,
that. Okay.
that's hers.
Honestly,
Home Alone, Elf.
I do like Home Alone. I've watched that a lot. But honestly, it was in the hotel room for Radford, and I turned on the TV as I'm doing stuff for the game, and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer came on. The old school, like you could have drawn Rudolph. Like that's how old school it is. It just brings you back to your childhood. Yeah. It's not that I love the movie, but I was like, I remember, just as a kid getting excited for Christmas, and that's what it brought me back to. So I don't think I technically have a favorite movie, but it's always nice to see that's still on. Like kids nowadays are still watching that. I'm surprised by that.
Well, and like Frosty, the original Frosty's great.
Yes.
The Frosty Returns or whatever it is.
Not the same. I do like the Grinch, though. There's something about the Grinch I like. So
But you're not a Grinch. You do enjoy.
Well, I don't know. Ask my team. See what they would say.
Okay. Well, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Same to you, Dan. Thanks for having me.
That's Coach Gebbia, and we will see you next time on the next edition of Beyond the Arc.